Your thumb is already moving before you've decided anything. You feel the phone in your pocket, and somewhere between the feeling and the thought, your hand has pulled it out. The screen lights up. There's nothing new. You knew somewhere that there would probably be nothing new. You check it anyway. You will check it again in 11 minutes. This isn't a willpower problem. It isn't even really about the phone. What's happening in that moment is older than screens, older than language, older than the idea of information itself. And once you see the mechanism underneath it, you'll never be able to unsee it in your own hands. Start with a pigeon in a box. In the 1950s, the psychologist B.F. Skinner was studying how animals learn to repeat behaviors, and he stumbled onto something that unsettled even him. He gave pigeons a liver that dispensed food. When the liver paid out every single time, the pigeons pecked at it calmly, almost lazily, the way you'd sip water from a tap you trust. But when Skinner changed the rule, so the lever paid out only sometimes, on no fixed schedule, something strange happened. The pecking didn't slow down. It became frantic. The pigeons pecked harder, faster, and more often than the ones getting guaranteed food. Uncertainty, it turned out, was more compelling than reward. You already know this pattern from somewhere else, even if you've never named it. It's the exact architecture of a slot machine, and it's the exact architecture of your lock screen. For most of human history, your ancestors lived inside a version of that unpredictable lever. Imagine a forager scanning a ridge of trees for fruit that wasn't always there. The bush that had berries yesterday might be empty today, and the one that looked empty last week might be heavy with fruit now. There was no fixed schedule. The information was scattered, inconsistent, and worth checking anyway, because sometimes checking meant finding something that kept you alive. A brain that got bored of checking, that decided the uncertainty wasn't worth the walk, was a brain that missed meals. So evolution built you to find unpredictable reward almost impossible to ignore. Not pleasant necessarily, impossible to ignore. That distinction matters more than it sounds like it should, and it's the part almost nobody gets right. In the 1990s, a neuroscientist named Wolfram Schultz was recording individual neurons in the brains of monkeys while they learned to expect a reward, like a squirt of juice after a specific cue. He expected the dopamine neurons to fire when the juice arrived. That's the assumption everyone had. Dopamine meant pleasure, and pleasure showed up when the good thing happened. But what Schultz found was almost the opposite. Once the monkeys learned the pattern, the dopamine spike stopped happening at the juice. It happened at the cue, at the anticipation. And when the reward was uncertain, arriving only sometimes after the cue, the dopamine response didn't shrink. It grew, spiking hardest in the moments of not knowing. The chemical wasn't tracking the reward. It was tracking the possibility of one. A few years later, a psychologist named Kent Berridge pushed this even further and found something that surprised him enough to spend the next 2 decades studying it. He separated what the brain calls wanting from what it calls liking, and discovered they run on almost entirely different systems. You can want something intensely, compulsively, without deriving much pleasure from getting it at all. Dopamine, it turns out, is the chemistry of pursuit, not the chemistry of satisfaction. It's the neurological equivalent of the ridge-scanning forager, not the equivalent of the meal. So picture what that means for the object in your hand right now. Every time you unlock your phone, you are not checking for a guaranteed reward, the way Skinner's pigeons pecked a lever that always paid. You're checking a lever that pays sometimes, a message that might be there, a notification that might matter, a scroll that might, on this pass, contain something worth the 2 seconds it costs. And your brain, the same brain that evolved to scan an unpredictable ridgeline for unpredictable fruit, does not experience this as a chore. It experiences it as the single most compelling kind of information there is. Information you don't yet have. That might be good. Here's the part that tends to land hardest. This means the checking was never really about finding something. If it were, you'd stop once you found nothing, the way you'd stop shaking a vending machine once you accepted it wasn't going to give you your snack. But you don't stop. You check again in 11 minutes, and then again 9 minutes after that, because the system driving the behavior isn't calibrated to results. It's calibrated to the gap. The itch is the machinery working exactly as your ancestors' machinery worked. Aim now at a device that can refresh 1,000 times a day instead of a ridgeline that refreshed once a season. That reframes the whole thing, doesn't it? You've probably told yourself at some point that you're addicted to your phone, or that you lack discipline, or that you should simply want to check it less. But wanting was never the variable evolution optimized for consistency in. It optimized for responsiveness to uncertainty, and your phone is, without exaggeration, the most uncertain reward dispensing object a human brain has ever been handed. It's not a flaw in you. It's a 400,000-year-old survival strategy, meeting an environment engineered, deliberately or not, to trigger it constantly, which brings you back to the moment your thumb moved before your thought did. That wasn't absent-mindedness. That was a forager's brain, doing exactly what it was built to do, scanning for the possibility of something in the only landscape it currently has left to scan. You didn't check your phone because you're weak. You checked it because for most of the time your species has existed, checking was the difference between finding food and not finding it. And no amount of screen time settings has caught up with that yet. You'll probably still feel your hand move toward it in an hour. Notice it next time, before it happens. That's not the pigeon in you losing. That's just the first time you've actually seen the lever.